Discordia. Let's wreak some havoc.
Hello there everybody, my name is SuperSonicBlur, and holy hell has it been a while since we done one of these. It is a God Guide, kit explanation, and build. This time we're going to start off with Discordia. Fun mage, seen a lot of play over the recent SPL, and a fair bit of times in other things. Definitely a very fun god, and certainly got some interesting aspects to her. Very safe pick for the mid lane, and all around a good god to have in your kit of I can play this. So, before we get too far into things, if you have a look on the screen now, you'll see each of the different sections, so if any one of those in particular interests you, you can jump right ahead to it. But without any further ado, let's get over that kit explanation. Okay, so Discordia's passive is called Contest of the Gods. Discordia is continuously and constantly comparing herself to her teammates to see who of them is the best. Whichever god on her team has the top player damage dealt to enemy players will receive a power buff that scales off Discordia's level. This caps out at 70 magical power or 45 physical power. This is a fantastic passive that affects pretty much any lane that it's put in fantastically well. Solo laners are having a slap fight. You have an early game aggressive god in the solo lane. Suddenly they get Contest of the Gods. They have a bonus 15 power level 5. That can be the difference between getting away with a kill or ending up dying in a tower on a dive that went a little bit too wrong. If your Hunter in the ADC side of things is popping off and they're doing a load of damage to the enemy, suddenly now they're stronger as well. This ability is, especially when Discordia is level 20, like 20 minutes into the game, this is a, here, have a free item. Like, people talk about Jabberlonquay and his passive, like, oh, it's a free item and it's so great. This is that. And it's just as good. And all you have to do is have top player damage, which, you know, yes, there is going to be some contest about it, but whoever it ends up with, it doesn't matter because it's just beneficial. There's no downside to having it on any one member of your team over the other. So whoever is popping off on your team, that suddenly means that they're doing fantastic and they're doing more damage, which means it's harder for the enemy team to come back into it. So that's really, really good. Now, enough fawning over Contest of the Gods, we will now look at Unruly Magic. Discordia sends an orb of Unruly Magic to a location that damages any enemies that it hits along the way. At that location, it will then break down into 6 minor projectiles that fire out in all directions, damaging any enemy hit and bouncing off the walls. It has 70, it would say it has about 85% scaling if you get hit by one of the minor damage bits, and it has pretty good damage on it as well, so I'm just going to do this so that we get that all sorted. And as well, you can see I have 100 magical power thanks to this, plus my passive, so that's pretty good. So this is what it looks like. Now, when it says it will stop, it will go through any enemy gods, but it won't like you can target it here. So if I do this, you'll see it hits there, and then bink, and you'll see you get hit by one of the ticks, which is pretty useful. You can always as well, because you hit this on the wave, chances are you will hit them with at least one of the minor damages, hence why I say it's got like 85% scaling. So it's 300, if you say 310 damage plus 85% scaling, any more hit that you get hit on the minor damage is just a bonus, but you can fire this through walls, but you can only target either side of the wall, so you can't just fire it through the wall. But because you can fire it through the walls, you get things like this. And you can see that there's a lot of damage, and there's no like cap on how many times you can get hit by those orbs. So if you can get hit by like 3-4 orbs, you practically double the damage that Unruly Magic does. It's not easy to do, don't get me wrong. It is unruly in its nature, but this ability can do a surprising amount of damage if you let it. I do not believe that standing on top of it does anything different. Actually, it does. If you can land Unruly Magic perfectly with some CC set up from your team, and you fire that and it hits someone, you're hitting them with like 5 shots from that. So you look at this, like I just do this, like look at this. This is unrealistic to get that set up, but that was 6 instances of damage. We can check that by looking at the combat log. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus the initial damage. So Unruly Magic does a lot. Don't get it wrong. Unruly Magic, if you hit that target perfectly, you can hit them with all 6 of the little balls when it splits out. So if you have any CC from your Guardian, maybe like stuns, or they're rooted in place or crippled or anything like that, and you can get that shot, stupid damage. Absolutely stupid damage. And that's only her first ability. Our second ability is Strife. Discordia creates an area of strife that damages an enemy god hit, or enemies that are hit. If 2 or more enemy gods are hit at the same time, they will be affected by madness for 1 second, forcing them to attack each other or the closest god to them for additional damage. The same is true of minions. If only a single target of one type is hit, then they become rooted for 1 second instead. So the madness damage per hit is, again, very little, but what it does do is this sets up a root. If you hit one person, like this, look, rooted, and then immediately bonked, and then you can hit for like 3, 4, 5 hits of that. But it also has madness on it, which essentially means that enemies start attacking themselves. Now, for gods, it's a little bit different. With gods, the way that it works is, if there is 2 gods that are close together inside this carpet, they will hit each other. However, if there is a god closer to them other than the one who's been affected by madness, they will walk to that one instead. I'm going to try and pull Ra here, just so you can... Come here, Ra. Hey, come here. Come here. Nope, not do that. That's a sneak peek at what her 3 does there. So we're just going to get Ra to follow us here, and I want to try and get him in line with... Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here, boy. Come on. Come on. There we go. There we go. Ow. It's fine. Come on. Come on. There's a good Ra. There you go. Alright, so, as you can see here, they both run towards another god because they're both affected by madness. Now, they should be attacking each other, but, you know, that's just how they work. So, this sets up your unruly magic because you hit someone, and then because they're walking towards, so, for example, just do this. You do this, and bonk. So there you go. You can set up unruly magic off your Strife, which is fantastic. You can also as well cause a lot of disruption between the enemies because they're now pushed together and you essentially make them kiss each other. And then because you get that, you have so much good CC. And then unruly magic comes in and just does so much more. So I just go like this. And you can see, look at that. I hit both of those effectively there because of unruly magic, which is fantastic because Strife enabled me to do so. Now at 3, you saw a little bit of an example of what that does earlier, and that is erratic behavior. Discordia leaps a short distance and then creates an area of confusion where she lands. This will persist for 5 seconds. While she is inside that area, she becomes stealth, gains bonus movement speed, and her first and second abilities cooldowns are reduced by an additional amount of time for every 0.5 seconds she remains in the area. Attacking from this area will briefly reveal her. Now, reducing her cooldowns by up to 10 times the amount. So, for example, erratic behavior, if she stays in that for 5 seconds, unruly magic and Strife will just come off of cooldown. It is insane. So I'll show you now. If I go like this, then like this, then sit in the fog, I am invisible, have increased movement speed whilst I'm here, but you'll see that my cooldowns also go down. Like they just tick down, just tick down, just tick down, which is really, really useful. Now, bearing in mind, this is a leap as well. So you saw earlier as well, I was able to actually leap over a Ra snipe. And the reason I was able to do that is because technically, if I do this, look, look, see? See how I didn't take that extra tick of 14 there? It's because it's a leap. So because of that, I can use that. Now, you can't exactly go over walls with this. So you do have to be rather careful here. But you can... It's just so good of an ability. It gets your cooldowns back, which means you can be very, very aggressive. It's an escape. It's a stealth, so you can hide in the fog. There's just so much that erratic behavior can do. Sure, it's not the biggest of areas, but having that increased cooldown just means that you can go like this, then step back into the fog. And again, remember, this is going to decrease your cooldowns by 1.5 seconds every 0.5 seconds at max rank. This is stupid good. And with CDR, this gets even better. All of your abilities get shorter cooldowns. It just does so much goodness for you. But now the pièce de résistance, the golden apple of Discord. Discordia throws her golden apple of Discord that damages and passes through minions and bounces off walls. If the apple hits an enemy god, it will damage them and force them to hold the apple. Gods holding the apple will become intolerable, causing them to be crippled, intoxicated, while they constantly boast. At the end of the duration, the apple will detonate, dealing damage and spreading to affect nearby gods. If you've ever played around with Cupid and seen his heart bomb, imagine that, but it's a nuke. That is the golden apple of Discord. This does not much damage initially, but it essentially does double that damage on the second tick of it. This is 100% scaling and 600 base. Not to mention as well, this can spread for 2 seconds. This will be intoxication and crippling the enemy gods, and then the second set of targets are crippled for 3 seconds and intoxicated and constantly spam taunting. So you can see this here, and as you can see, it's got a fairly large wind up on it. You're CC immune in the process, and that's what it does. And as you can see, that's what it does. Now that big circle around on the golden apple of Discord, that is the area that enemies inside of will be affected by when you throw it out and you hit a second target. That's huge! That's absolutely huge! Now, bearing in mind, they're only ever affected by the second instance of damage, not the first. So, again, we're going to need our lovely pet subject, Ra. Hey, Ra, come here. Actually, no, I'll just kill the Ra so that I can reset his health. Come on, Ra. Come here. Come here. And I'll show you the golden apple of Discord. So, again, there you go. As you can see, I just juked out Ra's ultimate with my leap. Very useful thing that you can do. And it's on such a quick leap as well that you can get fairly effectively. So come, start hitting. There we go. Now watch this. That is a load of damage. Now in a team fight, that is just stupid. Like absolutely stupid. Like if you can strife someone, if you strife someone and then throw the golden apple of Discord on them, they're basically dead. Their team can't sit around them to peel for them. They're crippled, so they can't leap away. There's such a long range on it, so you can go like, look at this, like, look at this. Also as well, if you kill Ra while he still has the apple, he will explode early. That's stupid. The amount of team fight control potential that Discordia has is nutty. It's rivaled only by very few gods, and one of those is Nox, who is supposed to be like the silence controlling mage character. Discordia is nutty with her kit. So, just to reiterate again, Strife is your setup. Now, I will show you on minions as well how this works. Now, unfortunately, minions are slightly more awkward. You have to be somewhat sideways onto them because, well, it just doesn't work out. But your 1 is your main wave clear because, well, it does the most damage. But the 2 is also very useful because that a bonus madness damage for 1 second, you get maybe 2 ticks of this off, which is pretty good. So we'll have a look here as these archers come through, all these minions come down. Now you won't get this perfectly every time, but as you can see, those minions start hitting each other and they start doing a lot of damage to each other. You get the enemy god in there as well. They're rooted. You can start setting up a lot of poke potential in the wave, which is absolutely fantastic. Like I said, the 1 is the main wave clear. Remember, it can go through walls, so you can just do that, be cheeky and steal away enemy camps when they're doing mid camps, for example. It's just, there's so much to Discordia, and it's all in the 1 and the 2, which is why the 3 reduces their cooldowns. And then in the team fights, you get any setup, or you got anyone going on you, you've got like a 1.5 second wind up of bonk, like 2 seconds of CC immunity, which is absolutely fantastic. So now that we've gone over the kit guide for Discordia, it's time to go over the leveling order. Okay then, so level 1 for Discordia. The first thing you're going to want to be leveling is you're going to be wanting to level that Unruly magic. The reason for this, it does the most damage initially. It's like, even if you just take it that you hit 1 minor orb and you hit the orb damage, it's 90. Strife damage is 70. Erratic behavior doesn't do damage, and you can't get the golden apple with Discord level 1. So we get Unruly magic. Now this is really useful because this means that when you're starting with your jungler and you're starting on that speed buff, you can actually stand closer to the lane and fire through the walls. When 23 seconds pops around, just do this. You'll hit one of them and bonk round through most of the damage. Chances are you'll kill the 2 small minions, or you know, you'll put them down to just 1 hit from the jungler, so they can just use their AoE ability or whatever they've got leveled first, and then they can wail away on the big minion, which means you can get to lane faster. You can then start pressuring that out, and it's the little things in mid lane that help you. If you can get to lane faster, you can start clearing it faster. It means you can start getting that level 2 faster than your opponent and really start pushing some damage into them. So level 2 for the mid lane, you got 2 options here. If you want to play it safe, and safe is usually a good way to go, Erratic behavior is safe. It is a leap. It gets you out of trouble. That being said, Strife works just as well. Like, Strife works as the root, it works as a good way to be offensive, it helps you clear the lane more as well, so you can't ever necessarily go wrong with picking up Strife. Either one of these two is fine. You kind of have to play it by ear. Is the enemy jungler rotating around to you? Does the enemy mid laner have a high kill chance on you? Can you be safe enough to get Strife? 9 times out of 10, I'll get Strife level 2 just because I like the additional wave clear and the poke potential onto the enemy mid laner. But, you know, you can't go too wrong picking up either one of those. For safety, Erratic behavior because it's your defensive leap. For high clear, high poke potential, get Strife. And I like being a little bit aggressive, so I'll grab Strife personally. Level 3, if you didn't get your Erratic behavior, get that now. If you want to be really risky, get your second point in Unruly Magic now. It depends how high farm you're being, how safe you want to be. Safety will dictate get your leap, so you've got it. It also as well can lower the cooldowns on these, so you can use them more often, which is useful. So safety will dictate that you get Erratic behavior. Either way, when you hit level 4, you'll want to end up with what's looking like this. Just 2 points in the Unruly Magic because it's your clear. Level 5 comes around, and we're going to be grabbing that golden apple of Discord. It's too good not to. And then things get fairly simple from here on out. We get Unruly Magic. We get Unruly Magic. Level 8, you can get a second point in Strife. It's a little bit more damage. The madness damage is okay. If you can hard farm enough, holding the point here, and actually getting one in the final point in Unruly Magic and the second point in Golden Apple of Discord is perfect. Like, that's the absolute best scenario. Either way, level 10, you're going to end up looking with something like this, which is going to be your Unruly Magic. You're going to have 2 points in Golden Apple of Discord. You'll have 2 points in Golden Apple of Discord, 2 points in your Strife, and 5 points in Unruly Magic. This is what you ended up at level 10. From here on out, things get incredibly simple. We want to level up Strife because it just does more damage, and it's good burst damage as well. Not to mention as well, the madness damage can start really ratcheting it up. Then we'll get the Golden Apple of Discord every time we can. Finally, we start leveling up Erratic behavior because we have to, and every chance we can, we get our Golden Apple of Discord. So in terms of leveling priorities, it's going to be the ultimate, your 1, your 2, and then finally the 3. Depending on how you feel in the early game, depends on whether or not you want to pick up Strife level 2, depends whether or not you want to hold the point for Unruly Magic at level 8 and level 9. So play it by ear. Some people find that it's just easier to get that point in Strife right away, or then save it for Unruly Magic. There's little things, personal preferences for each of those. Like I said, this is a generalized guide, and I want you guys to think about it yourselves when you're in your games. Don't just mindlessly do it because you got told it. Think about why you're doing it and what you're trying to do. Sometimes you may find that getting additional points in Erratic behavior may be helpful. I don't know. I've never really done it because I've always thought that just Strife getting the damage was better. So that's my personal point of view. If you disagree with it, that's totally fine and things, you know. If it works for you, then do it. I'm just looking at this and being like, hey, I like big damage numbers. Give me the ones that do more damage. So that does it for the leveling guide. Now it's time to look over a build for Discordia. Okay then, so builds seem to vary to and fro depending on how the meta is shifting. I'm going to give you a couple sort of generalizations for builds that look very simple and cookie cutter, but you do have to kind of think for yourself in some of these things. We are in somewhat of a healer meta as it stands right now, so chances are you're going to be wanting to pick up those Divine Ruins more so than anything else. So just keep it in mind that this is all going to be subject to change. Patches come and go, metas change, so look at when this was recorded or when this was uploaded and take it with a pinch of salt. If it's like years later, Discord is suddenly drastically different and the builds have all changed, you know, take it with a pinch of salt. So first thing we're going to start with, Mage's Blessing. It's just very good. Bonus MP5, bonus ability damage. It, I believe, procs on the small ones as well as the big ones. So we hit there and then... No, it doesn't. It only hits once, but it can hit on the small one if you miss the big one, so you can get a little bit more bonus damage from it that way. It's fantastic. In terms of items that you want to start with, personally, I like the Lost Artifact start, so I can rush into the Chronos Pendant. You can start with the book. You can start with Spellbook. It's alright. It's not great. but it's a fair bit of power. You can start with tiny trinkets. There's a lot of viable options that you can start with. Like I said, personally, I like going for the Lost Artifact because I like getting Chronos Pendant as my second item. If you want to start rushing Soul Reaver, then go right for Spellbook start. Basically, whatever item you want to get earlier, pick that one up. But both of those two do offer you good help for your mana sustain, so we get both of those. Once we get that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our shoes. Honestly, Shoes of Focus are just better right now. They come with the same amount of power as Shoes of the Magi. They come with cooldown, which is great. They also come with the same movement speed. The only difference is you trade 250 mana and 10% cooldown for 10 penetration. 50 gold says Shoes of Focus are just better. They're cheaper. They come online quicker. So it's all it just feels better to get Shoes of Focus. Once we got those online, next thing that I like to finish off is my Chronos Pendant. With the Mage's Blessing, Chronos Pendant, and Shoes of Focus, you hit that 50% CDR already. Because you get 10% here, 20% here, 10% from this, and then the Chronos Pendant passive for another 10%, which is fantastic. So you can see this ultimate right now is on 63 seconds. It's about 35-second cooldown on Golden Apple of Discord, which is nutty. When you've got Unruly Magic on under 10 seconds, and Erratic Behavior, like, just what? Like, look at this. Like, look at this. This is stupid. Like, look at that. I got 3 Unruly Magics off in Erratic Behavior. That's dumb. Like, that's actually dumb. So, because of that, give me a second and I will quickly just go and stack up my Mage's Blessing. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, with the 50% CDR and stuff, it's absolutely nutty just how much, like, your cooldowns go. And it's absolutely silly numbers. So, we got our cooldown online. The next thing that we like to go for is Soul Reaver. Now, the reason for Soul Reaver is simple. It's stupid damage. Getting this online means that if you hit anyone with anything, like, look, oh, I hit Unruly Magic, and bonk, suddenly now the Unruly Magic Orbs proccing for 10% of a target's health. That's just dumb. Like, there's, like, no other way of saying it. That's just silly damage. So, picking up Soul Reaver is a pretty good option. It sets you up for a lot of burst. At this point now, you need to kind of look at the enemies and be like, hey, are they building, like, are they a healing comp? Do they have a lot of healing in them? Do I need to get myself a Divine Ruin? If the answer is yes, get Divine Ruin at this point. This sets you up very good power, it's penetration, and that healing reduction is, you can proc that fairly well with Discordia. So, if you need it, then grab it. Obsidian Shard. Get yourself a good chunk of pen at this point. Yes, it got nerfed, but it's still the best option that you have for penetration, really. So, grabbing Obsidian Shard is the way to go. At this point, again, you kind of have to look at this and be like, do we really need a Divine Ruin? It's not the worst thing in the world to grab, but other things that you can grab. If you want to go full burst, the next things you're going to want are things like Soul Gem. And whilst this may overcap you on CDR, don't worry about it, because we're going to sell Evolved Mage's Blessing. And the last item we're going to get is one we haven't seen in a while, and that is Ethereal Staff. Now, the reason for Ethereal Staff is this. This does up to 10% of the target's maximum health if they have 2,750 health. Soul Reaver does 10% of their maximum health. Admittedly, it's true damage, but it's, you know, if Ethereal Staff is basically doing a second Soul Reaver proc, that is 20% of a target's health gone immediately. Not to mention as well Soul Gem, meaning that you do an additional 40, you deal a bonus 30% damage and heal up 40% of your magical power. That's pretty good. Now, admittedly, Soul Gem is kind of falling a little bit because where there is such a big healer meta, the Soul Gem heal isn't great, which is why we tend to see more Ethereal Staffs now in its place. So, if you are in the healing side of things, you're still going to get Obsidian Shard, but instead of the Soul Gem, just grab Divine Ruin. So it's very similar sorts of builds. You don't quite have as much CDR, boohoo, but you still do a stupid amount of damage. Like, look at this. Look at that. Just silly numbers. Silly numbers. Like, absolutely very just silly, silly, silly numbers. Like just look like raw, like, bonk. you've taken, like, so much damage. It's nutty. It's absolutely nutty, this kind of this situation. Yes, you don't necessarily have the heal from Soul Gem, but you're trading that off for stopping them healing up, and you do stupid damage. Again, like, look at this. Look at this. This is silly numbers of damage. So that's a basic idea for what you're looking at with builds. Like I said, since we're in healing meta, Divine Ruin is a very good item. In terms of build order, I would recommend that you go for the Soul Reaver before any of the other things. Maybe you get the Divine Ruin first if the anti-healing is really that necessary, but if you're team fighting that much, then probably you should already have the Pestilence from maybe your support or something. I don't know, I'm just saying, but the reason we get Soul Reaver before we get Penetration is because it's true damage, so we're not worried about it. The reason we don't get the Soul Gem and things like that here is because the damage that isn't affected it isn't true damage, so it is affected by the mitigations that protections do, which is why I would say get the Obsidian Shard first. This is going to be the very standard cookie cutter idea for a lot of mages that you're going to see, and that is we do Penetration in Obsidian Shard, we have CDR, and we have Soul Reaver to just proc continuous amounts of damage, and we have Divine Ruin because it's a healing meta. This is your bog standard, absolutely. When all else fails, pick these items up because it just makes the most sense. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for our look at Discordia. I hope you guys found this helpful and insightful, and as well, I hope you guys have learned something here. So the point of these videos is for you guys to learn something so that you can take it into your games and apply that knowledge. This isn't just a build this because it's the best thing. It's a build this because we want to do this. If you guys think that maybe instead of the Chronos Pendant, you want to start running like just higher penetration numbers, you could always run Spear of Desolation. It's slightly less expensive, but what you're enabling yourself to do here is you're getting more penetration, which isn't a bad thing. You're reducing your cooldowns by 1 second whenever you get a kill, which isn't, or get an assist, which isn't bad. It's 100 magical power as well, and it's just more penetration. So if you think that Chronos Pendant isn't for you, you just strap for a little bit of cash, then maybe get that Spirit Deso online. It's not a bad thing to do, it's still fairly well, and as you can see, you've still got good amounts of burst damage, and sure, your cooldowns suffer a little bit, but you're trading that off. So just think about why you're building the things you want to build, and also as well, are there any better things to do? This build may suck for some people, in which case then they want to go instead of the ethereal staff, they do just want to make sure they get that soul gem. It's not as much damage necessarily, but the healing can prove to be useful, and some people find that to be useful for them. So, you know, sometimes people change and they do things differently. So, you know, like look at that, bonk, there's that healing. More damage is great. So yeah, take what you've learnt here and apply it in your own games. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, my name has been SuperSonicBlur. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and favorite for more, and to share this stuff so people know that it exists. Let me know in the comment section down below if there's any particular god that you want me to go through next time. But until then, I will see you all later on.